The Living Zen-podcast is a gift from the members and associates of the Victoria Zen Centre to you. If you enjoy it, please be sure to let your friends know about Living Zen. If you'd like to support our community, download the Living Zen-podcast app for iPod, iPhone, and Android. One of the most meaningful ways to show your support is by becoming a part of our Sangha as an associate. Your commitment of $10 a month will ensure that offerings like the Living Zen podcast and our online e-Zendo will continue to be available around the world to everyone with an interest in truly living Zen. To become an associate, please visit our website at zenwest.ca and click on Become an Associate. Many more Zen Talks are available for purchase on iTunes and Amazon.com. Just search for Venerable Eshu Martin. These talks are also available for free on our website to all members and associates of the Victoria Zen Centre. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your support. So, I think your question is not an uncommon one. So I have to be careful because I just got back from sesshin, and so sometimes the bumpers aren't on. Things I can be a bit sharp, so I'll try to sort of be good. I think to answer the sort of second part of your question first is that what I'm talking about when I'm talking about recognizing masks or recognizing roles or recognizing sort of resting places is not to try to live a life in which you don't wear any masks. We all have masks. When I'm with my children, I have to wear a mask of father. This is the role that our situation, the circumstances require. And if I don't, and it's not all the time, but if I don't wear that mask, I fail in that relationship. If I try to be maybe a different mask, a friend or some other kind of relationship, then I miss the opportunity, the situation that has arisen. I don't rise to meet it, and the situation, the opportunity can be lost. It's not so. When I'm talking about this stuff, I'm not talking, and this is a totally frequent misunderstanding of these kinds of teachings. The practice of Zen is not to go around maskless and just this sort of like formless blob that responds sort of uniformly to whatever. You were kidnapped. And people really do believe that, right? The term, this word monk, we've got Zen monks here, and the word monk is an English word that actually does not reflect the term it's supposed to be in Japanese, which is where our tradition comes from, which is unsui, which means clouds and water. So these aren't Zen monks, they're clouds and water. Right? And the idea is that the other term that's used when we talk about ordination is leaving home. And so when we're looking at practice, the idea is that all of these little things that we rely on, I'm the son of so-and-so, I'm the daughter of so-and-so, I'm the husband or wife or the employee or the student or whatever, they're all little houses that we build and we like to live there. And unfortunately, fortunately, the circumstances are that to use a term from the Lotus Sutra, they're all on fire all the time. they're all on fire, all those houses. Your job is not permanent, and so it's like a house on fire. Your relationships, either through death or dismantling, are on fire. You're being the son of so-and-so or the daughter of so-and-so or the parent of so-and-so. All of these things are on fire. And sooner or later, we find ourselves homeless one way or the other. And so when we take up practice, the idea is that when we become a home leaver, whether that's by becoming a monk or by sincerely engaging in the investigation of this practice, we're making a conscious decision not to lay our bag down in one of these homes. To pass through the homes like, to recognize them as shelters, certainly. And there's never a shortage of those shelters. But to recognize that in the end, they're not a place to set up camp. They're all on fire. The unsui, the clouds and water part, are to recognize that it doesn't mean that we don't go there. It doesn't mean that we don't enter into those roles or those relationships. The clouds, the clouds of the clouds and water are these things that are not obstructed. Clouds are water, but they're unobstructed. If they're met with a mountain, they rise over the mountain. They break apart around the peaks and reunite, reconnect on the other side. And the water part is that it's a substance which is fundamentally fluid and so takes the shape of the vessel that it's poured into, right? And these sort of three, homelessness, clouds, and water, are the practice of a Dharma practitioner. So when we come into a situation that requires a stern voice, we don't go, oh, I'm just a meek and mild person and we manifest as a stern voice. When we come into the situation that needs a compassionate, soft and tender ear, then we don't go, well, I'm too manly for that, I'm not going to. You manifest a compassionate, tender ear. But always not resting there, not pitching our tent there and saying, oh, this is who I am. So when I ask this question and say, who are you? And you say, well, I really feel like this is who I am. I say, be careful. Be careful. Because any box that you choose to put yourself in, even to say, oh, I'm a man, or I'm a woman, or I'm a young person, or I'm an old person, it's still a box. And your nature, your capacity as a human being is infinitely more vast than any box that you can come up with. Even a really big box, like, the great savior of all mental health suffer. Well, we're all mental health, everyone, right? And every box that we invest in, anywhere where we lay our hand, is a place where we will be hit. Anywhere where you solidify and calcify and hang on and say, this is what I am, this is who I am, it's like you have become solid enough to hit. Huh?
And be knocked over.
Yeah. So, I think that we all in our lives, this is one of the reasons why I really try to keep the Zen Center out of pushing a particular agenda or a particular cause, is because every one of us, through our personal life circumstances, through our opportunities and situations and experience and education and all of those things, we all have situations or opportunities that arise for us to manifest our true nature in a particular way, to wear a particular mask. And the way that I look at Zen practice is this place is the place where we learn to flow. This is the place where we learn to let go of our fixations on particular ways of being, particular things that we're going to do, and where we learn to flow more freely. So that as our lives unfold naturally as they do, when an opportunity arises for us to manifest with strength and with wisdom and with clarity, we're actually free to do that. And we don't go like, oh, I could never do that. It's to say, this is where I stand up. This is where I go. So, a double kind of, if this is a place where you feel strongly about manifesting, it's really important that you practice non-attachment in your manifestation there. Because I think it's great for you to advocate and for you to voice and to fight for people who are always careful about the word fight. I don't want you actually throwing any stones at anyone. But that when you're doing this, that you're not equating that role with who you truly are. That you recognize that you're taking the vastness of your nature and manifesting it in a particular area, but that area does not capture or cannot contain the vastness of your original nature. And I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But just to be careful, not to limit yourself. Well,
it keeps coming up. It's a huge conflict for me.
Yeah.
Actually, we started answering there. I thought, whoops, I've asked this before. Sorry, maybe well learned it before.
But it's a question that we all ask, and our as human beings, this is one of the major reasons that we're constantly suffering, is that we're constantly looking for the mask, like the real one. Who am I really? What is is this the right relationship? Is this the right job? Is this the right spiritual practice where I can just finally be done? Where I can rest and stop and. And Zen Bodhidharma's response of there is no knowing is this acceptance that give up the concept of the resting place. Give up the concept of the final evolution of who I am as a human being. Sakito, you said how great it is to be with a group of people who sort of have this idea that it doesn't stop. And this is the fundamental thing, is to investigate in our lives the places where we have the expectation of stopping. That is what we're talking about in Buddhism when we talk about the nature of self, let no self. That's what we're talking about. Self is this idea of a thing or a situation or an environment or anything that stops, that is fixed, permanent, lasting, somehow separate. And our practice here is to there's no faith involved, is to actually investigate our experience of life and ask, is there anything that I've ever come across in my life in any area that actually matches that description of something that's unchanging and fixed and permanent? And if it's the case that we cannot find anything, and that when we collaborate with other people in a community and say, how about you? You come across anything that just is fixed and permanent and lasting and never changes? No. Then we have to sort of accept that and then start to make changes in our life based on our experience, and stop looking for this, marriage that, we cross the line into marriage and now I'm married and everything's good, or the job that, just is perfect from the day that we walk in. And we start to look at life as an unfolding and very dynamic activity. And that when we get into a situation, we don't expect it to be static, we expect it to be a dynamic, unfolding activity. And that when we enter into a situation, instead of going, this is how it's going to be, we go, I have no idea how this is going to go. Have your wits about you. Trust your ability to improvise. That's what we do, is trying to help people learn how to improvise. So, wow, have I run on?
No, that was good. I just have a problem with, like you said, experience. If you have really negative experiences, aren't you going to expect that to happen again? I mean, or you have that schematic in your brain.
Absolutely.
How do you deal with it? Just meditate, just practice more.
Practice helps. I mean, the thing is, what practice allows us to do is actually sort of have a step back from the situation that we're in. Usually when we're in a situation and it's positive or negative, we don't have space around it, and we respond, we react to what comes up. So when we get a negative reaction, someone cuts us off, we react. We don't actually have a big picture perspective of it, and we are not aware at the time of our acting. We just do. And as a result, the choice is eliminated out of that situation. We're responding in a way that has been conditioned over time. We respond the way that worked the first time, and so we don't really vary it. As we practice, what seems to happen, at least in my experience, is that we begin to be able to sort of see a bigger and bigger picture of a situation. And that allows us the freedom, space, and time to see not only what's happened to us, how we've responded, but also sort of how that plays out over time. And if we don't like the way that it plays out over time, it offers us opportunities as we go through our lives to experiment. And that's what practice is a lot of the time, is this huge experiment where we go like, oh, I don't have to respond in that way. I can respond in other ways. This is where the fear comes in, because usually the way that we respond is the only way we know how to respond. And so to respond differently is to enter into this realm of the unknown and to become an experimenter. And sometimes we run experiments in situations and they go horribly awry, and it's way worse than it was the first time we did it, right? But even that is better, because we've ventured into the new and the unknown, and we're able to say, well, maybe we'll do something different next time. And then things start to change and start to become different. The whole new world opens up to us. So, is it hard? Absolutely. One of the most utterly nauseating things, I think, in practice is when that awareness starts to develop, but the momentum of habit is still really deeply rooted. So a situation arises and you go, if I respond like this, it's going to be really bad, and I don't want to respond like that, and I'm not going to respond like that, and you simultaneously watch yourself do exactly the same thing as you've always done, and the whole time you're going, no, oh God, and you go, oh, there I did it again. And that can happen, multiple times before we're able, willing, and we have the strength to actually move in a different direction. Is it hard? Absolutely. It's way harder than just running the same program, And in some ways, like what I was talking about tonight, with the sort of situation of the children in the closet, right? The thought always occurs to me, is it a kindness to take them out? Because if that's all that person knows, the trauma, the expectation of transformation that we place upon them by removing them from that environment is huge. And I think it's the same way with us when we're in our little habitual reactive world. We might fail, we might suffer, we might miss, but these are all familiar failings and familiar sufferings. It's the same thing over and over again. And when our ability to see, when our perspective begins to open up, it's frightening because it's the unknown. It's because the vastness of what we're capable of is so tremendous that we can just shut down. So the difficulty, I think, is less the letting go of the difficulties and the suffering and the problems that we have in our limited perspective, but accepting the utter vastness of potential that's available to us. That's what keeps us. We don't want out of the box. That's scary out there. So be brave and step outside the box.
Thank you.
Yeah, very welcome.
I have tons of questions, but I'm not going to bring them. I'm not going to take your time.
Any other questions? I feel like I just I hear about these great conversations that happen when I'm not here, and then when I'm here, it's just like this lid. Don't anybody say anything.
That was so juicy. Just juicy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a question that I got from someone who thought they might come tonight, but as many people I talk to always say they're going to come on Tuesday nights, and they don't come. Mm-hmm. One of his questions was, I was describing the way the evening goes as best I could. My real feeling was just come and have the experience, rather than cross-examine me about everything that's going to happen. But in any case, I did my best. But one of the questions was, so I said, there'll be a Dharma talk. Well, am I allowed to ask questions during the Dharma talk? And I said, well, that's not really how it works.
Right.
An opportunity for questions later.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a showstopper.
Okay.
So I don't really know what my question is. It's more of an observation of challenges when people ask questions about the practice.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's hard. Like I didn't really know what to answer except to say, well, this is how the form works, and this is the structure, and there's lots of opportunity for questions. But it's an experience.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's not a linear inquiry. It's an experience.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The practice, and this is one of the real challenges, I think, with Zen practice in our culture, is that it's so experientially based. The model that we use here in Victoria is really quite different than most other Zen places, and I intentionally did it because the Japanese culture that this comes from, even when I started training, is entirely based on experiential learning. And so you would get no response. If someone said, oh, what's it like? They would say, it's like Zen practice. Why don't you come find out, right? And then when you come, there's no instruction. It's like open up your eyes, turn on your peripheral vision, and pay attention. And in our culture, we have this tremendous fear of being novice, even if we're novice. I am going to go into this completely foreign environment that I've never been in before, but I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. And that's just sort of how we roll, right? And we don't actually appreciate the value of being placed in that situation. In fact, we have a negative, it's like to be put in the situation where I don't have any idea what I'm doing and I'm supposed to figure it out is just I'm just not going, period, right? And so, but I think that Japanese culture is changing now because of the influence of the West. But even in the time when I started, that was still very much the thing. You showed up and you came in and you sat down and you just watched what everyone else is doing and had no idea what was going on, but you just sort of did your best. And that right away triggers this, what we were talking about, which is you can't prepare. You can't prepare for something that you're not going to know about. And so immediately you're resting on your ability to improvise. You're immediately resting in to see if you have within you what is required to do your life. And you put yourself in difficult situations. In our culture, we pretty much do everything that we can to avoid that situation. And so trying to run a Zen... I was so crazy when I first started doing this stuff. I had this, in Zen, in the old days, in Zen, when a person would go to a temple and they'd knock on the door and they'd say, I'd like to come in and do Zen practice, they would say, no, we don't have any room. Go away. And you'd have to sit there and wait to demonstrate how much you wanted to sort of get on with this practice. And when I first started practicing with the Victoria Zen Centre, I was like, I'm not going to answer any calls until they've actually left like 3 messages. And so you find that there is some culture disconnect. Right. So what we've started to do is we have like the orientation course, and we have these nice orientations so that when people come into the meditation hall for the first time, even though it's their first time, they can actually look like they know what they're doing, even though they don't. And I think that I think that it's something that's necessary in our culture. But one of the things that I really find with practitioners is that one of the common thing, a person should say this multiple times during their practice, throughout a lifetime of practice, is, I really thought I knew what I was doing, but now I see, like I'm just starting. Like I'm just starting to sort of get a grasp on what's going on here. And this, I said this very thing like last week when I was in Seattle, just like, oh, right, I get it. I'm starting. Yeah, okay. So as a practitioner, when you're engaging in conversations with people who are asking you about your practice, there's this term upaya, which means skillful means. And so it's finding this balance of allowing people to move forward, to not put up barriers or obstacles to practice without giving them the whole, going on explaining and then we take the incense. It's like completely not useful. Just because the bottom line is, you're going to come in, and the moment, by the end of the evening, you're going to be like either, I kind of like that, I'd like to do more. You're going to like, get me out of here. And like, what's the loss? Like without all the words you've given them an experiential knowing. So that's just drag them here. That's bribe them, offer them a donut afterwards or something. Works with my son sometimes. What's that? That's right. That's right. Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.